And we're live. Awesome. Welcome to the another show of the Savvy Real Estate Investor Show. We have Adrian today with us. Adrian is the CEO and founder of St. Joseph's Capital, a commercial multifamily real estate syndication company with the purpose of helping investors create new streams of tax advantage passive income. St. Joseph Capital assists investors nationwide investing in real estate while also donating 50% of profits to assist missionaries committed to sharing the hope and joy of the gospel with high school and university students on campuses around the globe. He's also the host of the St. Joseph's Capital podcast, which is a collection of interviews with top experts in the real estate industry with a focus on the synergies between faith, personal growth, impact creation, and real estate investing. In addition to his involvement in the real estate industry, Adrian is a Catholic husband, father, and U.S. Coast Guard officer. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Hey, Satch, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, you are doing a lot of things, and that's an understatement. It really intrigues me, the 50% profit. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the warm intro. St. Joseph's Capital is our real estate syndication company, and we're, primarily focused on helping investors invest passively, but we're also dedicated to assisting missionaries who are really focused on the mission on campuses, at high schools and colleges. And I've had a few missionaries really invest time and energy and effort and prayers into my relationship with God, and definitely see just the need in our culture for missionaries to be out there on the battlefield, on school campuses, just mentoring students, but also just sharing Christ with students as well.
Dude, so that's really awesome that you're doing that. You're the only person that I know that is doing something like this. I don't know if you know somebody else. Maybe you do. You
Yeah,
do? Yeah.
well, I think inspired by a few other syndicators who are very generous in giving in big ways. So just trying to follow in their footsteps. But I know there's some generous investors out there.
Yeah, I love that, man. So, well, thank you for your service being in the Coast Guard. What are you doing in Coast Guard?
I work at Coast Guard headquarters, and we are focused on C5I capabilities, where we assist our operational service members make sure they have the technology and capabilities that they need to execute the mission.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Where are you located?
Northern Virginia.
Okay, awesome, cool, pretty cool. So how has your journey been so far? And actually, let's bring a step back and tell me, why did you get into real estate syndications?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm just a simple guy from Northern Virginia, and my wife and I were moving to our new duty assignment, and used the VA loan to purchase our primary residence there. And we were anticipating being there for 3 years, but got orders to a new assignment within that first year. And that's kind of when I was like, well, I got to learn how to figure out how to manage this rental, and ended up reaching out to other military real estate investors. And that's when I got in contact with active duty passive income, and just kind of devoured their educational content and courses. They've got a book called Military House Hacking, and they've got a podcast, but really focused on using the strategy of single family turnkey residential investing, as I start to uncover this new world of real estate. But after hearing about commercial multifamily and the different advantages of forcing appreciation, and how NOI is driving your value, and just working with economies of scale, and leveraging the power of syndication to use partners and a team, kind of collaborative effort to take down bigger deals, my mindset shifted to larger multifamily apartment deals, and um, ended up joining ADPI's multifamily mastermind and academy. And um, soon after that, invested passively as a limited partner in an apartment syndication. And the team that I invested with in their deal, the sponsor that brought me in was also active duty, but he was stationed overseas in Colombia, but he was syndicating this deal, from overseas. I was like, wow, like how are you doing this? And he was like, well, joined a team and we syndicated it. And, I was raising capital to kind of get my foot in the door. And so that's kind of really what drew me to the world of syndication. But even, taking a step back, even before real estate, I guess that moment that really drew me into the world of investing was taking it back to like the mission behind St. Joseph's Capital. Looking at it with a biblical lens, there was a scripture passage that was been sitting in my heart for years before even using the VA loan that first time. And it was the passage of the parable of the talents in the Gospel of Matthew. And it's basically about a master who entrusts a different number of talents, or in that day and time was a form of currency, to 3 of his servants. So he entrusted 5 talents to one. He entrusted 2 talents to another servant, and he entrusted 1 talent to another. And the servants that were entrusted with 5 and 2 went out and doubled what they were given, while the one that was given to 1 ended up kind of burying it in the ground out of fear of losing it. And that servant that buried it in the ground really was, admonished for not going out and producing more with what he was given, while the 2 servants that doubled what they were given were praised. And so it really kind of made me ask that question, like, what am I doing with what I'm given? And so that's kind of really what was the spark to start and get involved, and led me to real estate.
Dude, I love that, and I know that story as well, and I think it's really inspiring to really think through what you're really doing with the things you're given, like you said. I got a question. Do you still have the single family home, or you got rid of it?
We sold it.
You sold it.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't like single family homes. It works. People do it, but it's just not for me, right? So like, to me, is once you flip the switch and you go to multifamily, start doing big deals, it's kind of like, why do a small deal, right? I love what you said there. So, and I think is awesome. Which you said there's this guy that was also active duty. He was stationed in Colombia, but he was still able to syndicate a deal here in the U.S., right? Which highlights the importance of one, that you can be anywhere you want, depending on what kind of role you're playing in a syndication, and how syndications is a team sport, right? You don't just do it alone. Um, is that what drew you to be on the side of passive investing and raising capital?
Yeah, definitely. Just having the power of a team behind the deal, especially a team that's experienced, that has a really solid track record, that's been in a market for uh, several years, or really focused on a certain asset class. Um, it's definitely different, right, than single family residential, because when you're in that space, you're really kind of on your own, doing all the different roles on your own. But when you're kind of working together as a team, you get more sets of eyes, on the numbers. You get more sets of eyes on the property itself. Um, more questions kind of are brought up when you're going, to analyze and do the due diligence. And when you leverage partners, you can, work to what you're good at, and kind of delegate, or outsource, or partner with those who are better at certain things than you are. And yeah, it's just a really cool industry. But even when it comes down to specific deals, it's a very collaborative space, which is attractive for sure.
Yeah, I love it. You said that you invested as a limited partner in your first syndication, right? Uh,
Yes, correct.
did you do that? Why did you do that? Uh, and and so let me give more context to the question. I did that myself, right? I invested in a syndications, a couple of syndications myself, just as a limited partner, and I don't think many people do that. So I'm kind of curious to know why is it that you did it first like that?
Yeah, I really just wanted to get some skin in the game, because I knew I wanted to go active, but wanted to invest passively to start, just to kind of be a fly on the wall, see how things are done, see how a team kind of navigates through a life cycle of a deal, get a feel for how they underwrote it, um, that just getting comfortable with kind of how the process works. Um, but in addition to preparing for the active side, just all the benefits of passive investing, not having to worry about tenants or toilets or trash or termites or any of that. And then, being able to still get the cash flow plus, the K1 that comes at the end of the year, which allows investors to take advantage of depreciation. Um, so that's really why I wanted to invest passively to start.
Yeah, for sure. And same with me. It's kind of like it's almost as if you're getting paid to learn and see how things are done, right?
Yeah,
Something
definitely.
like that. You mentioned a term that is probably one of my favorite topics in syndications, especially as it comes to real estate and multifamily, which is forced appreciation. What is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love forced appreciation. So it's it's forcing appreciation. It's driving up the value of a property, and what does that look like in commercial real estate? And I talk about this equation, I think, on a daily basis, but it really comes down to the cap rate equation, right? So uh, the net operating income is the income of the property minus the expenses, and that gives you your net operating income, or your NOI. And when you divide that by the capitalization rate, um, you're going to that's going to equal your value. And so when you increase that NOI, by either increasing the income or decreasing expenses, you're significantly driving up revenue, but you're driving up that value, right? So let's say you have a multifamily property and you're able to raise rent, um, let's say $20 a month on a 100-unit property, over the first year. Let's say 20 times 100 is 2,000. Times that by 12, that gives you 24,000, right? So you have $24,000 of new income, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you're in a 5% market cap rate. You divide that 24,000 by 5%, and that just gave you $480,000 in value, right? So just by increasing rent by $25 a unit over that first year, you've just increased the value by almost $500,000. So that's just a quick, example of forced appreciation. But that's just one way, right, to force appreciation. There's so many ways to do it, whether you're increasing rent or maybe optimizing your savings, or excuse me, not your savings, or you're optimizing your expenses by increasing what you're saving, over the life cycle of the deal, or maybe optimizing your water conservation management measures, or maybe adding units to the property, or maybe adding storage units to the property. There's a number of ways to really force appreciation and add value. So a lot of different levers to pull that you have a little bit more control over than residential, or on the residential single family side.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, how are you picking the syndicators to work with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's the most important question, right? It's like, there's the market that you're choosing, there's the property that you're making sure is a property that is going to be profitable, but there really is the team that you have to partner with, that's going to really be the ones that are actively involved in that market, actively involved executing the business plan of the property. And so I think that's kind of the foundation, right, for syndication is the team that you work with. And there's definitely a thorough due diligence process of kind of getting to know a team and making sure they're the right team that you want to invest with and invest alongside with. But it really is just kind of asking them, like, what kinds of things are you looking at in a market? What kind of conservative assumptions are you making in your underwriting? What are your contingency plans when things go wrong? And seeing what kind of track record they have, what kind of track record of success they have investing.
Cool. Love it. How do you think people can connect with syndicators? Sounds like you connected with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably connected with your first syndicator through someone that was already active duty as well, right? So they were sort of in your space and you connected with them through there. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So if someone that was not in that position, how would you advise someone to start going out and finding syndicators to start asking questions and get involved?
Yeah, so I think, this is kind of a dual approach to getting started, but I think it's a combination of education and then networking. And so your question is kind of geared toward the networking side, but I think it even starts with that education piece because, there's so many people that don't even know what a syndication is. And so by understanding what a syndication is and kind of doing research, I feel like that kind of lends itself to finding and discovering books and podcasts and different mentors and educational programs and mastermind, all that kind of stuff that kind of lends toward that networking component. So, and then I think, after that, it's like, okay, you educate yourself, now you're networking, and then you add some more education to it, and then you add some more networking to it. And it's definitely kind of a dual simultaneous approach of those two.
Yeah, exactly. Where would you say that a majority of your investors come from? Are they like different backgrounds or mostly military?
Yeah, so different backgrounds for sure. I think it starts with my own sphere of influence with the Coast Guard, with the military, with my church connections and different charitable partnerships. But that's kind of where it started, and really hoping to continue to get to know more investors within that space, especially on the Coast Guard side, but also those partners who are in the benefactor space for missionaries and those who kind of resonate with our mission of serving missionaries. So,
Love it, man. What's your so two questions here. What's your favorite asset class to invest in?
Yeah, I would say favorite one is definitely multifamily. I think multifamily is a very strong investment vehicle historically, and I think in the years to come, especially with just where we're at with in our nation, with just the shortage of housing nationwide, to the tune of millions of units. There's definitely strong demand and low supply. But and I think too another case for multifamily is just the recession resistant aspect of it. I think lately we've really been focused on RV parks that have come into play within the last few years, but really excited about this asset class for a few reasons, especially with the macroeconomic trends of baby boomers retiring, at a pretty high level and rate, and wanting to step into retirement with maybe a lifestyle upgrade and cost of life that may be a little bit less. And I think also the trend of the younger generation, millennials, who are seeing the possibilities of remote work and kind of staying mobile and a little more nomadic. But also, to join that with, the lack of housing, people are opting to see, RVs as that alternative way of living, especially as rents continue to increase, housing prices continue to increase. But I would say those two, multifamily and RV parks, are our
Cool.
favorites for sure.
Love it, man. When you're looking at deals, what are some of your investment criterias?
Yeah, so I think we kind of mentioned it already, right? Like the team is really the first component. Like who is the team behind the deal? So we want to make sure that the team has a track record of success, that they have the expertise in their market, and also going to the other point of the market, we want to make sure that the growth indicators are there, that the market is showing signs of predictable path of progress, with employment, with population growth, with inward migration. Crime rate is also another component to that. And then, properties as well. We want to make sure that, there's significant conservative assumptions being made in the analysis, with making sure that it's cash flowing, and that there is potential upside with strong downside protection as well.
Cool. Is there any states or areas where you will not invest in, or as long as the numbers pencil in, you're in?
I would say red states are where we do invest in, and we try to avoid blue states, but primarily red states in the Sunbelt region, like Florida, like Texas, are our main focuses. But those are two major focuses at this point.
Cool. Dude, I love it, man. I think there's more people than I meet than not that invest in like Sunbelt region. It's harder to find people that don't invest in Sunbelt. I think it's pretty obvious, right? We all know that people are migrating to the south, and these are good states. I mean, population growth it just keeps increasing nonstop, and obviously employment rate is going through the roof here. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, dude, tell me one of the hardest things that you have had to overcome through your real estate journey.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a continual, I guess, overcoming attempt. But I think the juggle between family life, active duty military life, and actively investing is always every week a huge challenge. It can be, I think, discouraging sometimes because it takes a lot to really grow your network, right? And to get out to meetups, to meet in person, to get out to conferences, and sometimes that's just not the right move for family life, or not the right move in that moment for military life. Sometimes we're just can't, maybe we're restricted to a certain radius at the time. So I think that's one of the challenges that I experience. But I think just continuing to schedule calls, to get on virtual meetups, to just stay communicating with investors is I think probably the best way that we can continue to grow our network, and to try to help people see these opportunities. So I would say that's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah, I agree, dude. How do you like those virtual meetups? I've never done one.
They're good. They're always going on. I think they're helpful for maybe those who can't as easily get somewhere in person. I think they're got really popular during COVID, and I think they're here to stay, especially in the real estate investing world. Just seeing the power of virtual meetups, and kind of getting to see someone face to face on your phone or your laptop or your computers is definitely helpful. I think there's some advantages there for sure.
Would you say that you get the same experience, or is there something lacking from the virtual meetup than meeting in person? Or I just feel that way. I don't know because I've never done it, right? So I feel like there's like a maybe like that personal interaction missing from it. I don't know. Maybe there isn't, right? But what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's always nicer, right, to shake someone's hand, to look them in the eye. It's definitely a different experience, more personal experience when it's in person. So I mean, when there's opportunities to go in person and to shake hands and to talk in person, it's always great. And I think it's definitely preferred for sure. Um, so I think you're speaking to something there with the virtual meetup not having those components to it.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, we're reaching here the end of the podcast, so I'm gonna ask you my two favorite questions, and one of them I think we kind of already answered, but I just wanted to make it resonate here. What would you recommend to someone who is just starting to find out about real estate syndications and they want to learn more?
Yeah, I would say I kind of mentioned it earlier, but start with education. Pick up a good book about multifamily real estate or syndication, um, and then maybe a good podcast to kind of listen, on your car ride or your commute or whatever it is, and then I would say from there, just start talking about what you're learning, on social media and start putting yourself out there, especially if you want to, get actively involved. I think that's probably the best way to go.
Cool, love it, dude. Tell me your most favorite real estate book.
I've said this one a few times on a few other podcasts, but I'm sure you've read it as well. But Raising Capital for Real Estate, Hunter Thompson, definitely been an eye opener, paradigm shift, and kind of the cornerstone for learning how to connect with investors and raise capital and get deals to the closing table.
Yeah, love that. I have that book. It's full of tabs on it just because I keep going back to it, referring to it. It's a great book. Um, Adrian, how can people reach out to you, find out more about you, invest with you?
Yeah, absolutely. We just finished our 7-day introduction to passive real estate investing email course. It's free to access. You just have to go to our website, stjosephscapital.com. That's stjosephscapital.com. And that's a great way for us to get in contact.
Okay, great. stjosephcapital.com. We put the link down there. Adrian, welcome for coming to the show, and we're looking forward to having you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tash. It was great to be here and great to talk with you.